Thinking about my future, presently to long-term ideas. What am I up to currently? Well, I am preparing to move. I didn't think that I would be moving this soon. I have moved, 3 times in about the last 6 years or so. Once was from moving from my house, my home, that was supposed to be my home for life, to an apartment. Second was moving from said apartment in 2020 to the apartment that I'm currently moving out of here in 2023. This apartment that I'm moving out of is not an easy choice to make. It's, kind of one of them things that I didn't want to have to do. The preparation of moving is a lot to come to grips with. I have come to the conclusion that only I can make this change. I have been asking for help and being ignored. This has led to this conclusion. I would have loved to have been able to have kept my apartment at least for the next few years until more of my future was, finalized or semi-set in stone. I don't want to leave my apartment. It is almost perfect for my future needs. It would be nice if there was an elevator. Then basically I could stay in this apartment until I am well into my senior years. However, that is still, 25 or so years away. However, the time has come where I need to take action for my future. So I started in the spring of the year decluttering and getting rid of things that I hadn't really used. Some of the boxes that I sorted through hadn't been touched since 2018. Others had been sealed since 2020, and some of the stuff that I've sorted through I've collected since I moved into this apartment. I have held on to things from far too long, things that were part of my past, things that belonged to other people that they left behind, things that I thought I could use in the future that I never did use since 2018 when I boxed them up. Many of the items are in good shape and are worth money. Money that I could use to put toward my future. So as a result, I've been selling things. I started in the spring of the year selling small items. My old cameras, camera mounts, things like that I hadn't really used since my wood shop days when I had the saws and all that. I didn't really want to let go of some of those items because I remember, the good times I had with them, remember how useful they were, remember how much I paid for them. However, at the same time, how long does a person hang on to these items before they start to weigh a person down with clutter? Things are selling pretty decent. Things are getting moved, sold, or donated, and room by room, this apartment is becoming empty, and soon I will be able to start cleaning it up and then giving it back to the property management company. As I look out my patio door, I look at could be one of the last times that I enjoy the sunrise. I enjoy a coffee on the deck from this vantage point. And I think how blessed I was to have had this apartment for this very short time. This was a fairly quiet, fairly calm, fairly stable place to live. I know it had some problems. Obviously, the fire, just a couple weeks after moving in. I know it had a few issues with neighbors and things like that. But again, that is apartment living and the way it is. I am hoping that I'm able to adjust to the new space that I'm moving to. I am hoping that it's not going to be too big of an extreme change from, well, having a one-bedroom apartment to yourself, to having to adjust to live with roommates and things like that. I have never lived with roommates before. I moved from my parents' place into an apartment with my girlfriend. And then from that apartment, I moved into another apartment with my girlfriend. And then with another girlfriend, I moved into what would become my wife. And from that apartment, I moved with my girlfriend into a house. And then, of course, from that house to these apartments that I did mention. What will I be up to 3 months from now? Obviously, getting prepared for fall, realizing that winter is coming and all that wonderful stuff, getting further adjusted to my new space, making all the stuff that I need to survive the winter available to me, like my paints, for my paintings, setting up my new editing studio, even though it's going to be just probably a computer perched on a milk crate in the corner of a small room with a bunch of boxes piled up. But I'm hoping to have a little more organization than that. Trying to remain positive, but realizing that I don't do well in small confined spaces. However, realizing that this big step that I took is one of the largest moves that I've made since giving up my house and my home in 2018. What will I be up to 6 months from now? Well, it will be the dead of winter, the coldest of the cold temperatures for our Western Canadian winter. I will pass the time by editing videos. I do have a lot of content from 2022 and 2023 that I have shot. We'll be focusing on my future, sort of in a semi-hibernation state like I always do every winter. If I can jumpstart my creativity, I would like to do some paintings. Kind of like what I've done since 2018. I know I went through a little bit of a creative drought in 2022. However, I had a lot of things going on in my mind, realizing what I needed to do for the future, but at the same time, not wanting to give up what I had to, get those kind of things rolling for my future. It will be interesting to see how the next 6 months unfold from there. Well, what will I be up to 1 year from now? 1 year is a long time. Early spring, spring or early summer, a lot can happen between now and then. Realistically, I would like to be preparing to be out camping. However, with the Jayco being down, there will be no camping in the Jayco. I can probably figure out enough money together to buy a tent and sleep back on the ground. With my pain and discomfort the way it is, sleeping on the ground's not going to be enjoyable. I've got it worked out in my head with an inflatable air mattress so I can maybe be a little bit higher off the ground. Maybe I'll be able to scrape together enough money to buy a 40-year-old $1,500 either tent trailer or small RV. Who knows what the future holds with the camping plans 1 year from now. Well, am I staying where I am, or am I moving again in the, summer of 2024? If I can get settled where I'm moving to, and things work out where I'm moving to, if I'm not a big inconvenience in their life, if they can adjust to my hibernations and my ups and downs, and the fact that they're a busy household with day schedules, and I tend to gravitate more toward the late night life kind of a thing, then maybe I'll try to stay here for, another year from now. Who knows? Well, 2 years from now, again, getting to be a long time from currently filming this here video. Hopefully I can save up enough money to have purchased an older RV. Maybe something similar to the Jayco. They're going for anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 still. Something that is 15 to 20 years old. Something that could maybe last 5 years like the Jayco did before it once again lets you down. If buying is not a possibility, would I have the strength to build an RV? Like I've mentioned way back in previous videos years ago, if you buy a tent trailer and you strip it down, you can get money for those appliances. And when you're done, you're left with a nice frame. You can build a teardrop kind of style trailer, just big enough for 1 or 2 people maybe. Essentially, it would be a rolling tent kind of a deal. You open the door, crawl inside of it, go to bed, spend most of your time outside. Is building an RV from the ground up possible on my budget? Of course, that is only possible if I can stay living where I'm going to be living and the rent doesn't change or anything major like that. Well, 5 years from now, that's getting even further out there to predict what my life may be, given how much it's changed since 2018. My desktop computer is a 2017 custom-built computer. There is room to upgrade inside the case. When it was built fairly well with room and not the best of components, but yet not the extremely cheapest ones either. Eventually it will need an upgrade or a complete replacement. Given how my life is sort of looking, maybe a stationary desktop computer is not what my future plans need. Maybe I need to either look at a custom-built laptop or some type of insanely strong and fast gaming laptop that can perform the same way as my specs are on this custom-built laptop. I would like to do some upkeep and maintenance to the truck. The truck is one of those gifts that I can't afford to replace. It's probably going to be the last truck that I ever own that was new. The next vehicle I buy to replace this is either going to be 20 years old, or it's going to end up being a small car or something. Because the truck is a 2017, it's starting to show a little bit of use from plenty of years of adventures. There's no rust or dents or nothing, but there's some rock chips that will eventually, turn to rust. Because of our wonderful Alberta roads, the windshield did get cracked and does need to be changed. I've always had the dream of some cosmetic improvements, like a lift kit to get more clearance for some of those back roads, like front and rear bumpers to get rid of the plastic cheap bumpers that, don't really take much to damage them. It would be nice to Line-X or some type of polyurethane coating on the truck to give the paint a little bit of armor per se, so it doesn't show the scratches like it has been showing them. Obviously, saving up money during the last few years may allow this kind of thing or future to happen. 10 years from now, man. 10 years is too far out there to even predict the outcome. It's virtually impossible. World events could change this outcome a lot. My health could change, it could take a nosedive, and I may need to go a completely different direction. I would love to have an acreage. A place where I could film videos, a place where I could do projects, a place where I could have a little bit of room to grow, to stretch, to sort of half recreate what I once had. However, that dream will never come. Not at my age, not with my financial history, and not with my body failing me like it has over the last few years. Realistically, eventually, I will no longer be able to drive. Will that be 5 years from now, or 25 years from now, when that happens? Given my family history and things like that, I am hoping that I'm well into my 60s before any of that ever becomes a possibility. But if I could manage to save money over the next 10 to 15 years, I would like to have a small piece of dirt in an almost non-existent town somewhere. It would be nice to have a solid home to go back to, something to spend my final years there. A place with a small yard, a place with space to grow a garden, and a place to have my flower beds again. Doesn't have to be something fancy, maybe a small trailer or some other type of living accommodations. A place with small shelter of some kind. I'm not trying to name off anything that's too outlandish, but realistically, a single guy with no really big plans for the future can live in virtually almost anything if he puts his mind to it. I know I would like to stay away from apartments, but those are always an option. If I'm old enough, I can qualify for other type of accommodations. If I'm still young enough, I can always go back to the type of apartment that I'm currently moving out of. Mentally, my brain is still sharp and alive. I still have a lot of life to live and a lot of things that I want to experience. But physically, my body has been struggling ever since my workplace accident. 10 years ago. I have never fully recovered from that, even though I've been struggling too ever since. Again, it has been a struggle to survive to this point. I feel the changes every day. I just want to enjoy the remainder of my life, being able to experience this wonderful province that we live in, and potentially the rest of this wonderful country that we live in. Is it possible for a person my age and my income to fulfill my dreams at this point? Thanks for listening to this here video. And as always, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.